In the fast-paced world of the UFC, where warriors clash inside the octagon, fighters are often accustomed to rigorous 8-week training camps, meticulously honing their skills and conditioning their bodies for the battles that lie ahead. But what happens when that luxury of time is reduced to just a mere 11 days? How much can one truly accomplish in such a short-notice title fight scenario? It's a challenge that brings an electrifying mix of excitement and uncertainty, as fighters throw caution to the wind and step into the spotlight with minimal preparation. In this UFC-flavored adventure, we'll dive headfirst into the adrenaline-fueled world of short-notice title fights, where champions and contenders alike test their mettle against a ticking clock. From historical triumphs to unforeseen pitfalls, we'll uncover the fighters who defied the odds and those who fell short under the brightest lights. These are the best 10 short-notice title fights in UFC history. Number 10. Fred Edish vs. Johnny Rowe. Diving deep into the history of UFC, we unearth a remarkable tale of short-notice heroics. The setting, UFC 2 in March of 1994. Fred Edish, originally an alternate fighter for the event, had been tasked with a different role, working behind the scenes to ensure the smooth running of the show. Little did he know that destiny had a different plan for him. The night before the event, fate intervened with a sense of urgency. Greg Hamaker, one of the fighters, had injured his hand during the tournament's opening round. In the 11th hour, Ryan Gracie, one of the UFC's head honchos, sought out Edish and asked him to step in as a replacement. With a mere 10 to 20 minutes of preparation, Edish had to gather his gear, cornermen, and squeeze in the briefest of warm-ups. His opponent, Johnny Rowe. The stage was set and Edish's bravery knew no bounds. However, the story did not unfold as he had hoped. A disappointing performance led to a first-round submission loss. Back then, Edish faced some ridicule from MMA fans, but in retrospect, he is remembered with fondness and respect for his valiant effort. Number 9. Daniel Cormier vs. Anthony Johnson. In the world of UFC, opportunities can emerge in the blink of an eye, and fighters must adapt swiftly to seize them. This takes us to the moment when Daniel Cormier's journey to a title collided with the whirlwind of circumstances. Initially slated to face Ryan Bader in June 2015, Cormier's path to championship glory took an unexpected twist. Out of the cage issues involving then-champion Jon Jones created a vacancy at 205 pounds. In response, UFC matchmakers displayed their agility, pairing Cormier with the ferocious Anthony Johnson to determine the new champion. The catch? Cormier's training camp was abruptly cut short, and the formidable Anthony Johnson presented an entirely different challenge compared to his original opponent, Bader. The bout had an explosive start as Johnson sent Cormier to the canvas with a thunderous overhand within seconds. Yet Cormier's resilience and class emerged as the fight unfolded. He rallied back to control rumble for the majority of the bout, ultimately securing victory with a third-round rear-naked choke. The triumphant twist in Cormier's journey marked the beginning of his reign as a UFC world champion, a testament to the unpredictable and thrilling nature of the sport. Number 8. Brian Ortega vs. Frankie Edgar. In the thrilling world of the UFC, sometimes the best stories emerge from the unlikeliest of circumstances. UFC 222 promised a clash of titans between Frankie Edgar and Max Holloway for the 145-pound title in a co-main event. But the MMA gods had a different script in mind when Max Holloway had to withdraw due to a leg injury, leaving fans and Frankie Edgar disappointed. Enter Frankie Edgar, the embodiment of a true fighter's spirit. He faced a daunting decision: wait for Max to heal and fight for the title, or embrace a new challenge on short notice. In a display of unwavering determination, Edgar accepted the fight against Brian Ortega with just 3 weeks' notice. He had nothing to gain and everything to lose. That's precisely what makes the sport of MMA so enthralling. In a dramatic turn of events, Brian Ortega took center stage and delivered a jaw-dropping performance. With a wild uppercut, he knocked Frankie Edgar out cold in the opening round, leaving fans in disbelief. Edgar's dreams of a title shot were shattered, and Ortega seized the opportunity that fate had presented. It was a heartbreaking moment, yet a testament to the unpredictable nature of this wild world of MMA. Number 7. Jon Jones vs. Shogun Rua. UFC history is punctuated by moments of audacious courage, and Jon Jones' meteoric rise to the top is no exception. The stage was set when Jones stepped in on short notice to face Mauricio Shogun Rua for the title, and the clock was ticking with around 5 weeks to prepare. Though more time than most short notice fights, it was far from a full camp for a title bout. The original contender, Rashad Evans, was forced to bow out due to a knee injury suffered in training, setting the stage for Jones to make a daring move. The catch? Evans was not just any opponent. He was a former teammate, igniting a fierce rivalry that would forever alter the course of both fighters' careers. Jones, then just 23 years old, seized the moment with unwavering determination. He faced Rua in the octagon and delivered a breathtaking performance, stopping him in the third round with a brutal combination of knees and punches, taking the fight on short notice and claiming the title was the stuff of legend. And Jones couldn't have dreamt of a better way to etch his name in UFC history. Number 6. Justin Gaethje vs. Tony Ferguson. In the roller coaster world of MMA, 2020 brought its own unique challenges, most notably the ever-present threat of COVID-19. The drama unfolded when the long-anticipated bout between Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov fell apart for the 5th time due to the pandemic, leaving fight fans in disbelief. Originally slated for UFC 248, Khabib's travel restrictions forced him to withdraw from the fight. However, Tony Ferguson is not one to sit idly by. He's a man of action, always hungry for competition, and that's when the UFC made a bold decision. Instead of Khabib, they set up a showdown between Ferguson and Gaethje at UFC 249. The move left fans divided. Many fans questioned Ferguson's choice, believing he had nothing to gain by taking this fight. In their minds, he should have waited for the world to return to normal and fight for the title. But Tony Ferguson is cut from a different cloth. He's a warrior through and through, and he accepted the challenge with just 6 weeks' notice. What followed was pure chaos inside the octagon. Justin Gaethje stepped up and delivered a breathtaking performance, demolishing Tony Ferguson and securing a finish in the 4th round. It was a moment that redefined the lightweight division, and Tony's decision to take the fight, while admirable, proved to be a formidable challenge that he couldn't overcome. Michael Bisping versus Luke Rockhold. In the grand tapestry of MMA history, few stories rival the tale of Michael Bisping's ascension to championship glory. The Count was the perennial underdog, long seen as a fighter who couldn't conquer top-tier opponents. He'd build impressive win streaks against formidable opposition, only to stumble when facing the elite like Tim Kennedy, Vitor Belfort, or Chael Sonnen. Enter Luke Rockhold, one of the contenders intent on shattering Bisping's title aspirations. In November 2014, Rockhold made it look easy, showcasing his dominance as he kicked the Englishman around the cage and finished him with a one-arm guillotine. It was a resounding victory, a symbol of the new era in the middleweight division. Fast forward to about 18 months later, when the unexpected happened. Bisping, a seasoned veteran, agreed to a title rematch against the reigning champion, Luke Rockhold, with a mere 3 weeks to prepare. The expectations were low, and even Bisping's own children didn't believe in his chances, but nobody had told the resilient Bisping. He stepped into the octagon with an aggressive mindset. While Rockhold exuded confidence, a powerful combination found its mark on Rockhold's chin, and in the aftermath of that punch, Left Hook Larry was born. Michael Bisping's legacy transformed from an almost contender to a bona fide champion. Conversely, Luke Rockhold's career spiraled downward after the defeat. He suffered losses in 3 of his next 4 fights and eventually decided to retire from the world of MMA. The unexpected and thrilling journey of Michael Bisping stands as a testament to the captivating nature of short-notice title fights in the UFC. Number 4. Matt Hughes vs. Joe Riggs. Back to November 2005, the UFC was abuzz with excitement as Matt Hughes, the formidable welterweight champion, was set to defend his title for the 2nd time during his 2nd reign. His opponent, the surging contender Karo Parisyan, was no pushover, boasting a 5-1 UFC record and victories over notable fighters like Nick Diaz, Chris Lytle, and Matt Serra. However, the MMA gods had different plans. On fight week, the unfortunate news broke that Parisyan had suffered a hamstring injury during training, rendering him unfit to compete. This unexpected twist left the UFC scrambling for a replacement, and who would answer the call but Joe Diesel Riggs. Riggs, with a remarkable 10 wins in his last 11 bouts, including a recent victory over Lytle just a month prior, stepped into the spotlight, but the short notice proved to be a daunting challenge, especially on the scales. In Las Vegas, he encountered a Herculean struggle to make the welterweight championship limit of 170 pounds. After 4 grueling attempts, Riggs made the tough decision to halt his weight cut, stating, "I can't keep cutting weight." This decision led to a historic turn of events, the first time in UFC history that a scheduled title bout was converted into a non-title bout due to a fighter failing to make weight. The following day, Matt Hughes faced Joe Riggs in the octagon. The fight was nothing short of thrilling, with Hughes emerging victorious by securing a first-round Kimura submission, etching a unique chapter in the wild world of short-notice title fights in the UFC. Number 3. Khabib Nurmagomedov vs. Al Iaquinta. In the high-stakes world of the UFC, risk and reward often go hand in hand. When it comes to short-notice matchups, the odds can be stacked against the unprepared fighter. This truth is especially evident in title fights, where the champion typically enjoys an advantage in readiness and strategy. Khabib Nurmagomedov, the legendary lightweight, didn't capture his title by defeating big names like McGregor, Rafael dos Anjos, or Eddie Alvarez. In fact, he faced an unexpected opponent on short notice. When both Tony Ferguson and Max Holloway were unable to make it to the cage at UFC 223, Al Iaquinta, initially slated for a prelims matchup against Paul Felder, found himself thrust into the title fight against the Eagle. The challenge with short notice fights lies in the adjustments required. Khabib's game plan remained consistent, a relentless grappling assault. But for Iaquinta, everything was turned upside down. He had been preparing for a likely kickboxing match against Felder and for a 15-minute bout, not a championship fight lasting 25 minutes. As expected, the match didn't favor Iaquinta. Nurmagomedov relentlessly wrestled through his defenses, jabbed his face apart, and maintained his ground game. Credit to Iaquinta for surviving, but offensively, he couldn't make much headway against Khabib's dominance. Number 2. Yoel Romero vs. Luke Rockhold. In the whirlwind world of MMA, sometimes fighters are thrust into unexpected opportunities. Luke Rockhold, a talented fighter, found himself in the midst of one such whirlwind when he was initially slated to fight Robert Whittaker for the title at UFC 221. However, a mere 3 weeks away from the contest, fate intervened and Whittaker suffered an injury. In a turn of events, Rockhold is now faced with an entirely different challenge, taking on the explosive power puncher Yoel Romero for the newly created interim title. This fight presented a fascinating clash of styles. For the initial rounds, Rockhold showcased the finest boxing skills of his entire career, keeping pace with Romero. However, the turning point came when Rockhold's shin collided with Romero's concrete frame, leaving a gruesome injury. In a matter of moments, he was socked straight in the mouth, resulting in a devastating knockout. As for the interim title, it remained unclaimed as Romero missed weight by nearly 3 pounds. Despite the chaos that unfolded, Romero earned the opportunity to fight Whittaker next for the undisputed crown, a testament to the unpredictable nature of short-notice title fights in the UFC. Number 1. Conor McGregor vs. Nate Diaz. In the colorful tapestry of short-notice fights, none shine as brightly as the epic clash between two giants of the sport, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz. While it wasn't a title fight per se, it was a battle that involved a reigning champion and the sport's most colossal star, making it a tale of short-notice greatness that demands our attention. Picture Nate Diaz stepping off a yacht in sunny Cabo, taking a break from tequila shots and the carefree beach life to step into the octagon and face off against the Irish phenomenon Conor McGregor. This was a time when McGregor was at the pinnacle of his powers, riding high on his 12-second knockout of Jose Aldo. It was the pre-Mayweather Mac, well before the millions and global stardom. Originally slated to face lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos, McGregor found himself pitted against a lanky and awkward boxer with a legendary chin. The catch? They'd meet at 170 pounds, a significant leap from McGregor's usual featherweight and lightweight divisions. The fight followed the script of an instant classic. Diaz, in true Diaz fashion, weathered the early storm, upped the volume on his striking, and cinched a choke that would go down in history. It was an all-time great upset, defying all odds and expectations, but the story didn't end there. McGregor, displaying his trademark resilience, turned the defeat into an opportunity for an immediate rematch, igniting a rivalry that continues to captivate fans to this day. While not officially short notice in the same vein as others, 2 other fights deserve honorable mention. TJ Dillashaw's upset victory over Renan Barão and Holly Holm's shocking triumph against Ronda Rousey were historical upsets that weren't originally planned but unfolded with significant changes in circumstances, further adding to the unpredictable and thrilling nature of the UFC. So as we wrap up this adrenaline-fueled journey through the top 10 short-notice title fights in UFC history, remember that the Octagon is a place where legends are made, and the unexpected is always just around the corner. Stay tuned for more heart-pounding action, and keep enjoying the wild ride that is the UFC.